Hello farm members and farm friends. This is going to be a shorter video. It's Reuben and my 26th anniversary, and we are going to be going out today for the afternoon and part of the evening. Got some errands to run, and we're going to go out to eat. So I know some of you are going to wish me a happy anniversary, so I'm just going to say thank you right now. Thanks for being part of our family. I hope you've been enjoying the first couple weeks of winter squash. This is the first time that we've offered butternut squash this year. And there's a few things to know about it. You can cook this like any of the other winter squashes by cutting it in half, scooping out the seeds, and roasting it in a little water on a sheet pan to keep it moist. Or the other way around, the little bit of water will steam and keep the insides warm, keep everything moist as it's cooking, because a lot of times it cooks for a long time, 45 minutes or an hour depending on the size. If you like that caramelization on the top, you'll want to let that water boil off, steam off, and then have a drier oven for the caramelization. You can also roast these whole, especially if you have a big one and it's really hard to cut through. Roasting it whole is a great way of making it easier for yourself. Then you can cut it easily, scoop out the seeds, and then you'll have that nice pumpkin-y, very orange butternut squash, and you can puree that to make it smoother. Sometimes there's fibers in the butternut squash that will disintegrate if you put it in a blender or a food processor to make it really smooth. Or you can just enjoy it the way it is with the texture of a just roasted squash. Many of you probably know that butternut squash is used as a substitute for pumpkin. It's actually much more efficient to cook one of these than to cook an odd shaped pumpkin with a big hollow part in the middle and only a little bit along the edges, which is why there's also baking pumpkins, which are smaller and a thicker flesh. And of course these will be your most similar pumpkin seeds inside the butternut squash. In fact, most or a lot of pumpkin puree that you get in cans is actually from a butternut squash or something similar, maybe a long neck pumpkin, which looks just like a butternut squash, but much longer neck, maybe curling around the edge, curling around a little bit, 2 to 3 feet in length sometimes. So if you want a good amount of pumpkin, definitely get one of those organic if you can find it. We of course don't grow those for our CSA because they would be hard to put in a box, and not everybody wants that much pumpkin at a time. The other thing that people really like to do with butternut squash is cube it. And so that's when you're gonna want it to keep its shape a little bit and put it in soups, or I have some butternut curry recipes that I really like. And so when you cube your butternut squash, you're usually gonna want to take the peel off. The peel of the butternut squash is a little bit thicker, definitely thicker than the delicata, which you can eat once it's roasted. But typically the butternut squash peel is not eaten. So you can take a sharp paring knife or a really nice sharp vegetable peeler while it's raw, but to make it even easier, what you can do is cook this for 15 minutes. You're gonna cook the outside layer to soften it up, okay? That will make it much easier to peel, and then once that's peeled, then it'll hold its shape because the rest of it is still raw, and you can cube it into the size pieces that you want. Various ways of cooking it. Some people will put it in the microwave And that only takes a few minutes. You can look that up on the internet to see how people do that. I've done it in the Instant Pot. That works. Sometimes I want to do more in the Instant Pot. It won't handle a big one. So I've also just put it in the oven and roasted it for 15-20 minutes and at 350, and it has the same effect of cooking the outside so that it's softer to peel, and then I can cut it up how I want. So if you want your butternut squash to hold its shape and you want to peel it, definitely make it easier on your wrists and on your hands for peeling it, but plan ahead a little bit so you get that time for roasting it in. You'll see on Harvey that we have the name of these tubular onions. I think they're red onions of Florence or something, so that's something new and unique that we've grown this year. And you're seeing the spring vegetables come back. So radishes were planted this summer, so they're sizing up, and we'll have these in the fall. We might, and there'll be more maybe turnips and other things like that for you. So you can dig out those spring recipes. And the really nice thing is that you can mix your spring recipes with your fall recipes. So now you've got your spring vegetables with your squashes and your potatoes and your onions and all that. I really love fall for that reason. Bok choy is back. So enjoy that in stir fries, and again, do the same thing as with your radishes. Mix it up with those fall vegetables and you have more uniquely fall dishes. Or you can pretend it's spring again and just use them with the other greens. And then I have two other salad greens for you. We've talked about arugula at different times. We've talked about mizuna at different times. And these were both in the spring. They're both back for the fall. And the description of these salad greens is often that they have a little peppery bite. So what's different? Well, they definitely have a different texture. This one has a long, very tender white stem. The arugula, you hardly notice the stem at all. They can both be used cooked or raw. The mizuna will take a few more minutes to cook. Often, I looked up some Asian recipes. Often you'll find the whole bunch of mizuna will be cut up and just put into a nice broth. So if you have some nice Asian broths that you like, this one makes a really light, healthy addition to a nice winter broth, an Asian broth with your different Asian sauces in it. And how bitter or peppery are they? So this mizuna has about two flavors. So first you get the green of a super green, a lettuce, the kind of salad green flavor, and then you have a slight bit of a bitter note, and then a slight peppery note, but not too complex, and not very spicy at all. And of course, when you cook this, that peppery note will go away. And I wouldn't be scared of the word bitter. It's just not like sweet and full of water like a spring lettuce is. The arugula, like I talked about before, has that nutty flavor. So when you take a bite of it, you get that nuttiness right away, along with the green lettucey intuition. Then it goes to a very, very slight bitter note, and then the peppery note. I would even skip maybe the bitter, but some of you might taste that. And it's definitely more peppery than the mizuna that I just tried. Although I have tasted this one's a little bit more peppery. So that's the comparison of those two. I love arugula raw, but also it chops up so nice and just kind of kind of is a nice note to just mix into other things, soups, pastas, when you cook it. Those are the two things that I do with it. You can throw it into pretty much any saute that you're doing. If, especially it's a great way to use it up if it's been in your fridge for a couple of days and you see that it's starting to turn just a tinge yellow. Throw it into something that you're cooking. Give yourself that extra nutritional boost, and don't save it too long. In the when the sunlight wanes in the fall, these greens just don't get as much sun, so the chlorophyll, which turns everything green, doesn't stay in the plant as long, and you will find that after a few days, especially depending on how you're storing it, you will start to get a little bit tinge of yellow. So when you see that, that's an indication that you've kept it long enough and you need to use it up. All right, have a great weekend. We will too, and I'll tell you what we did this coming weekend. Well, I'll tell you next week what we did this weekend. So enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you in October. All right, talk to you later. Bye.